Again, this was from 2010. You know, again, they kind of talk about, well, UX is important because, again, it's user experience. And then this one I thought was a little bit better writing here about forgiveness and, you know, making mistakes. We're all going to do it no matter what. Trying to avoid those is what we're really trying to accomplish in UX design. And, you know, you're going to have mistakes no matter what. But focus on establishing a clear, concise language for communication with your product. Make it human. Make it something that you would want to read if you were in their place. The other thing they talk a lot about this week is making sure that your writing is well written and to the point. And I know we haven't talked about writing yet. We will have some discussion about how to write for online, you know, the F pattern, and things like that. So we'll get to that when we're actually making content. This one talks about the user lifestyle and basically, you know, how people come back. Are they going to come back to your site? The other thing they also talk about in this part of the reading is about how if the person is the first time to your site, you might be able to lead them through what is the important parts and how to learn your interface possibly. Certain companies do that already. You know, oh, it's your first time here. You know, why don't you try this or why don't you try that, right? You've seen that before in products, I'm sure of that. A lot of games, right? You ever download a game on your phone or download a game and, you know, the first few chapters or first steps in the game, they're always teaching you, hey, this is how to use the game. They have little bubbles that pop up and do that. That's sort of what they're talking about here as well. And then having people come back. And then this one, they talk about watching analysis and measuring engagement over time. And what this is about is sort of finding out who is using your site and when they're using it and so on, when they're engaged with it. And so that was pretty interesting reading. And then this one's Never Stop Looking Ahead. I think this sort of talks a little bit about having a framework as well as this command and intent here as well, in that you know, you're going to have a plan and you're going to implement that plan, but of course that plan may change over time. And so that's sort of what this is basically coming up with. And so, you know, as we evolve in the next couple weeks, you know, the plan we come up with today may be different plan that we have in 2, 3 weeks. 4 weeks, and so on. So if you have time to read these, I find them useful reading and interesting anecdotes that we can learn from. So that was for this week's reading. If you have time, do that. The main topic for today is I'm going to talk a little bit about what mind maps are. Then we're going to talk about research. And then we're going to go into, well, actually, let's talk about research first, and then we'll come back to this. So hopefully you came in today with some kind of idea of what you want to do for the next 6 weeks. We only have like 7 weeks of school left. Imagine that. Time's flying by so fast. This semester ends very early. December 13th, I think, is our last day. So we have a whole, you know, 2 weeks before Christmas time before we're done. Wow. I mean, we could do something over the holidays if you wanted. Well, I'll be around to make stuff too. But we end like pretty early, so you know, time goes very quickly. So hopefully you came in today with some kind of idea. We're going to have to try and hash it out. But what I really want to talk about again is research and just, you know, if it's a website, what do I do? If it's an app, what do I do? Right? I'm designing. I have an idea for an app. Where do I start? Well, I think we've already talked about app already. And if we go to, of course, well, we don't have to do a private window. If we go to Google, and let's just say, hey, I have an idea for a cooking app. I love cooking. My idea is a cooking app. The easiest way to do the research, go to Google, type in iPhone cooking app. Right there. Boom. It's going to take you right there. Again, probably the most important is what I'm looking for is the this one right here. The iTunes link. Okay. Again, it's going to take you right to the iTunes area right there. And every app has screen grabs of their interface as well. So you come over here, you click on your oven recipes, boom, there's one right there. It starts talking about your phone. Look, notice how they have phone, iPad, and Apple Watch. Have you even thought about Apple Watch? I haven't really designed anything for the Apple Watch. Maybe it's something that you could do in this class too. Maybe you come up with a plan to have an app like this that does all three. Whoosh, that would be a lot of work, but hey, sounds interesting. But again, they have screen grabs. Hey, this is so, basically at the end of the semester, I'm looking for you to have some nice design plan with interfaces like this. But this is not all you're going to show, right? You're going to show your research. You're going to show in fact, what you do today with your mind map, you include that in your final proposal. Okay? So, researching is an important part of your design process. I do research constantly. It's all I do pretty much all day long is research. Again, you can also go to, where's that? There's a link that goes to the web develop. Oh, you can go to the developer site as well, and you can see more interesting information, right? So this was the link to the developer, bigoven.com. They made this. And so on. Ooh, use up leftovers. That's an idea. There you go. Let's see if there's other ones in there. I didn't look at all of them. I still like this one, just the iTunes one here. I just want to go to the regular iTunes page. Let's see if I can get there. By going up here? No. How about here? No. Well, there we go. Okay, again, once you get to the main site, you can see you got music, movies, show. What are we looking for? We're looking for apps, huh? This is music. Well, let's go back to Google. What other type of app are we thinking of making? Anybody have an idea for an app? Nobody has an idea for an app. You're all going to make websites. App. Okay. Well, what kind of app are you going to make?
I'm making, there is a website, php.com, so I'm making an app on that.
Oh, how do you do PHP?
No. That is for parents helping parents.
Oh, not PHP programming.
No.
Parents helping parents?
Yeah.
How about parents app? There we go. Uh-oh, track your kids. There you go. You guys track your kids already, don't you? I don't know. My son made me get his own account so I wouldn't track him. So I want my own account. I don't want you tracking me. He's 15. Is it legal for me to still track him at 15? Only when he's 18 can he get his own account, right? No, I gave him his own account. Again, now you get to see screen grabs, okay, and so on. So I know there's a spot. Remember that website we had with the whole list of all the apps? I don't know where to find that. No. Whatever, you get the idea though. There is ways to search for that as well. Of course, if it's a website, you can do the same thing. I tend to use Google all the time. What was the link I sent you over the weekend? Did I send you a link? Do you remember what that was? No? What if I'm making a website on anything? You can do the same thing. The site I wanted to show you today was B&H, because I'm buying some equipment for the video class, and I wanted to show the B&H website today, and that they've evolved this site over the years into quite interesting. You know, the site here is kind of based upon taking ideas from Amazon and ideas from social media and kind of blending it together, I think, in a good way. B&H is a company or a store in New York that sells, of course, camera and video equipment. So I was looking at this yesterday, and I thought, you know, it would be good to talk about it as far as more of a modern type of site, in that this is sort of geared towards the latest in e-commerce, if that's a term we still use today, e-commerce. In that, it's the other thing I wanted to talk about this week was navigation and so on, but they sell a lot of products. There's a lot of things there. So let's just talk about it for a moment. Again, if I'm doing a web design project, you should be doing research into different sites and coming up with examples of what you think works and what doesn't work. Right now, I think this website has evolved over time into a little bit more of a working site. Still not exactly what I think is great, and the reason why is I still struggle to find the things that I want. But let's just talk about it briefly so that we can, you know, you as a researcher need to go through and find sites that you find that are working, and you should be writing down what is working, or planning and thinking about what's working, because I'm going to want you to write about those things in a proposal. In a final proposal in this class, I want you to have research that says, hey, I went and I saw this site and I liked what it was doing. This is what I think would work for me as well. Okay, so you really need to start thinking about research. My research, again, last night was looking at this site. What I like about it, what I don't like about it, and writing those things down. Right now I didn't write them down, but I did think about them. How about that? Because I'm going to talk to you about it. But that's what you should be doing as well. First thing is, of course, they've evolved. Of course, their logo in the upper corner reinforces where I'm at all the time. No matter what section I go to or what area I'm at, the top bar pretty much stays the same, right? If you look at that, no matter what section you're at, top bar doesn't change. You always have your search bar, you have your logo, you have your deal zone, you have your login, you have your cart. In addition, they even have a second one. It's almost so small up here you barely notice it. The second one up here is basically almost like the tab that you would have along the browser. If you look at the browser up here, you see you have your, you know, a lot of us have these little tabs up here where we have our bookmarks, right? They kind of made this really simple small one right here, you know. And what is up there? Well, it's the most important things. Calling. They love for you to call. I know some companies don't want you to call. I remember when I first started working at Zircon many, many years ago, I was talking to Erica, who was the phone guy at the time. He's like, I don't want people calling. I don't want to have to answer the phone. He's like, so we don't even have the phone number on the first page, right? It's way hidden down, deep down below. But no, these people, they want you to call because, hey, you know, once you're on the phone with them, they can make a deal with you, you know, get you to sign up for products, buy things, you know. This is a selling site. It's selling. Again, you know, they're reinforcing who they are and what they are. They even have a pull-down menu for, you know, their federal, because they sell a lot to education, that's why, and so on. So they have this little toolbar at the top, which is new. This wasn't really there. It was kind of there, but it wasn't really there. Live chat is something that's been integrated a lot lately. And I've noticed that a lot, that, you know, a lot of these, in the past, it's been kind of, as far as web design, the chat thing's always been a burden to you sometimes. You ever get that? You go to a website and also all of a sudden the first thing that pops up is somebody says, hey, you want to chat with me, right? You get that pop-up window. And you're like, ah, that's annoying. You know what I mean? Well, you know, they have it, but it's not popping up. If I really want to chat, I can chat. Sometimes it does pop up if you're looking at a specific product, but then it doesn't really pop up. It's just, hey, there's somebody you can chat to here. So it's not in-your-face chat. It's you can choose to chat. Instead of them popping up that window and saying, chat with me. You know what I'm saying. You've all seen that before. that's been a very, as far as design-wise, been, their help. They got a help right there. What's help on a website? What do I need help for? Well, mostly help for when you're purchasing and when's my product arriving and stuff like that. It's not necessarily how to use the site. Again, it's help with your order, right? Because that's what most people do. I thought I ordered that. I don't know if I did. How do I find out? When is it coming? That's the help. It's not help with the website. It's help with my order. Okay. So again, I got help, live chat. There it is. You open it up. What kind of chat do you want? I placed an order. Or chat with somebody about products. Hey, I don't even need to call on the phone. And then they have About Us, which sort of explains who they are and why they're there. It's a giant store in New York where they sell a lot of products. And of course, they work really, really, really closely with Amazon as well as Google and advertising and things like that. Again, starting at the top, a lot of this was integrated in their site, but not necessarily the organized way that it is today. They really spent a lot of time and effort into organizing it in a lot better way, I think. And so down here, this is new. The whole deal zone thing is something that they had before, but not quite this way. In this way, they use a lot of pop-up windows. Right? I roll over, pop-up window. What is it telling you? You got your stars. Is this something I want to look at? Got my text. I got my image. Got my text, and so on. Deal zone thing. I think they're making money off their deal zone thing, and so they're trying to. This is something they just started pushing literally within the last couple weeks. This is new, brand new. They just kind of started integrating this into the site. And so, and then this one down here turns into more of a social media kind of thing. So their site is like really evolving into weird. It's confusing to me because I'm not used to it. But now there's sort of this social media kind of aspect down here, and it's almost like a Pinterest kind of thing, right? Where they have these little boxes of information that is here. And so they're trying to take things like e-commerce. You got your stars and your stuff from Amazon, right? This looks kind of Amazon-ish, if that's a word. Is there a word Amazon-ish? I'm going to make that up. Hey, I coined that. Copyrighted me. Okay, Amazon-ish. Again, the traditional, this is what their website used to be, just, menu, 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 right? Then they started evolving into this deal zone, which started a few years ago as something to sell surplus things, probably most likely that they have. Now, recently this updates hourly, and it's kind of like a social media. It's not necessarily social media because people aren't doing it; they're doing it. But the way that it's kind of put there, it's more of, it's not necessarily products. It's videos I can watch on stuff. It might be a picture, new customer image, right, and so on. So what is a top seller? And then you could load more. It's kind of like a Pinterest, I thought, so it's got a little bit of video. It's got this, so it's not necessarily just products. It's, so this whole kind of social aspect I thought was quite unique there, and for them to do something like this, where they're bringing Pinterest kind of like thing or something like that into an e-commerce site, if we can use the term e-commerce again. I don't know. And so on. And then, of course, the very bottom is more product. Then, of course, your social media. Make sure next time you're in New York, you go and visit them. They want you to go to the store. Of course, as long as it's not a holiday. The Jewish holidays are closed. I didn't understand that. I came from Pennsylvania in a Catholic world and things like that. And I used to work at a company, a photo company, and I would call them on the phone and they're not open. I'm like, what do you mean they're not open? I didn't know Jewish holidays at the time. Now I do. But, they won't be open during Jewish holidays, I can tell you that. And then you have your iOS apps. They have a whole app that you can download. The apps are quite interesting and so on. So again, I find this to be a very interesting site in that they're really putting a lot of time and effort in to try and it's a lot of content. It's different than Amazon. I think the advantage over Amazon is that they specialize in an area. But the problem with Amazon is trying to be everything for everybody, right? And I don't know, did I talk about how evil Amazon was last class? Amazon is just so I don't have time to do that today. But I would love to show you my research into Amazon and just, you know, how they make multiple sites and then they push products that aren't really products. They're just pushing for money reasons. They're not really a good product. They're just doing it to make money, you know, and it's just quite evil. Where this is a company that specializes in a specific area and so on. Okay, let's get to, I know I did really brief research. One thing I wanted to point out, though, and I don't think I can find it. I don't know if I could go back in time. Can we go back in time? My history looks like it's empty here. Bummer. Maybe on Canvas. Hold on. Two weeks ago. The one with the website with is that the link I was just looking at? Yeah. The website with the who's the actor that just died? What's his name? I forget his name. No. Okay, it doesn't matter. I was hoping to find the example of Burt Reynolds. Remember the Burt Reynolds example, right? Let me get to that if I can find it. Burt Reynolds. How do you spell Reynolds? R-E Reynolds. That was such a nice site. I really like that one. I'll never find it again. Never find it again. But that Burt Reynolds, and the reason why I was saying that is, you know, I basically, I'm up here showing you e-commerce sites and showing you product sites and things like that. But for your idea, you can do anything you want. Like the Burt Reynolds site, which I thought was a great idea. And the important thing is that you're going through a process of how am I planning and design. The content's up to you. That's why I wanted to show you the Burt Reynolds site. I thought it was a great idea. You remember that one? Right? With the nice Burt Reynolds. It saw some images. There was some good Photoshop work on the images. They had a little animation going. Oh, that's right. I haven't shown you how to make a GIF animation. We were going to end with that last week, didn't we? Yeah. So we can talk about how to do a GIF animation. We'll steal some images from a video and we can put it into some kind of crazy GIF animation. But think about that. You don't have to do e-commerce site or anything like that. I look at that because that's sort of the things I have to deal with every day is e-commerce kind of stuff or marketing and product kind of things. But you can be creative. You can come up with ideas of any kind of way. It's the important thing is, you know, how do you show your skills and planning skills in a way? The content is up to you. That's why I wanted to show you the Burt Reynolds site. Even Frito-Lay. You know, I know it's a company website, but the reason why I like to show this one is that things are on a curve, right? Mostly the things that we've been doing in class is making square things. Try and not think square. When you come up with ideas of designs, I want you to be outside of the squareness. The squareness tends to be everything that's on there. I like this Frito-Lay. I like how it has the text going on an angle here. And they're using it from their logo, right? They're coming from inspiration from their logo into the design of their site. Yes?
It's the many faces of.
What's it called?
The many faces of.
Many cases of? Many, M-A-N-Y?
Yeah, the many
Cases of?
Faces.
Oh, faces. Sorry, faces of? O-F?
Yeah.
.com?
You need the many faces.
The many faces with an S? The
Yeah.
many faces
Yeah.
of?
.com /
Oh, there it is. Well, thank you. Again, I thought this was a great idea. Something like this for your final idea for this class would be fine. You know, finding a topic. How do I design it for there's the key though, for the web. For an iPad. That's why we were talking responsive design last week, right? For your phone and so on. How does the design change? And then of course graphics, fonts, background. Look, the background is kind of dirty. How do you make a nice textured background like that? Right? We could talk about that in class as well. I like the Photoshop of the movies. Right? Kind of there. Nice typography with images. Love the CB radio here. If you don't know what that is, I know you're probably not from the 70s like me. Breaker 19, I used to have that CB radio. Yes. The GIF animation. Gotta love it. More GIF animation. Love the big boxes. You know, how does that though compare? Right? You got the newspaper look to the images of the people. How do you do that? Right? Gene loves teaching that in class. You probably learned that in Gene's class, right? I do the half-tone dots. She teaches the half-tone dots, half-tone dots. It comes from, of course, newspapers and so on. So that, I like the Frito-Lay with the kind of curvy and stuff like that. Okay, so today we're going to get started with our idea. The first thing I want to talk about, of course, is how do I get my ideas. I think, you know, let me tell you a little story about Stanko Blatnik. So back in 1999, 2000, I had Stanko Blatnik come into my life. He's a physics teacher from Slovenia in Europe, and you know, one of the things he would do is he would come and he loved the mind map. He would get the students. I'd have him come into class and work with the students in class, and one of the first things he always had the students do when they were playing, we were teaching web design, basically. Even though he was a physics guy, a PhD in physics, he loved the web and he loved teaching web. And in fact, he was the first person to show me Google. I remember it was 1999. Oh, look, new search engine Google. I was like, what? Stanko showed me Google for the first time. And but in fact, he's done several seminars here at West Valley on mind maps. And so, you know, the whole purpose of this mind map idea is that, you know, I have an idea, but I need to just come up with more ideas to branch off on that idea. So let's look at mind map. I'm going to want you to draw a mind map today of your idea. And so let's just read what is a mind map. A mind map is a diagram used to visually organize information. A mind map is hierarchical and shows relationship among pieces of the whole. It's often created around a single concept drawn as an image in the center of a blank page to which associated representation of ideas such as images, words, parts of words are added. Major ideas are connected directly to the central concept, and other ideas branch out from those major ideas. Okay? So it's basically a drawing. And the purpose of doing your drawing is that when you're making a mind map, I want you to be working with somebody else at the same time, and you're telling and explaining to somebody what your ideas are, and then that person can give you some information and feedback to enhance your ideas. Let's look at the video for a moment.
Mind maps are two-dimensional diagrams linking words and pictures together to visualize, structure, and classify ideas. Mind mapping can be a useful tool for solving problems, outlining presentations and papers, and reviewing notes. It is a particularly powerful tool for visual learners. To make a mind map, write your topic at the center of a piece of paper. Next, break down the main themes of your topic in radiating branches. Once you've done this, you can start to add related ideas as sub-branches around your main themes, or even sub-sub-branches if needed. Don't be afraid to get messy and draw lines between points or themes. One of the advantages of the mind map is that it helps you discover new relationships between ideas. If you like, you can add pictures or use different colors for each theme. When you're done, you should have a sheet of paper with an organic associative outline of your topic. Mind mapping can be useful for taking notes during lectures. The main advantage is that it allows you to focus on recording the structure of what's being said instead of copying down everything. While its usefulness for note-taking during lectures is a matter of personal preference, mind mapping has been proven to be very effective for helping people map out and recall central ideas distilled from readings. Many groups and businesses employ mind mapping to brainstorm for new ideas and to solve problems. Mind mapping can be a very effective way to quickly gather and structure ideas during group work. As more ideas are added around the central topic, new connections and relations can become evident. Mind mapping is excellent for outlining papers and presentations. The technique forces you to relate ideas to your discussion points, providing you with a solid framework upon which to build your arguments. You can even use applications like Prezi to turn a mind map into a presentation. There are dozens of computer and web applications that can help you make a professional and clean-looking mind map. These can be particularly useful if you want to publish or share your mind map. Computer applications are also great if you want to quickly move ideas around from one branch to another without starting from scratch. For more ideas about note-taking and critical thinking, go to the Learning Commons Study Toolkit.
Okay. So again, it's a visual way. I think, the whole point of Stunko is that, that's the way that he's been working all his life, right? He learned early on that, visually explaining your ideas is very important to explaining to other people. And so, that's one of the first starting points that he's always done is started with a mind map when he starts with his ideas. There's some more events. Holding a kickoff meeting before diving into design. Again, we're not in a design phase at all. Research and thinking about your idea and explaining it to somebody else to bounce ideas off of them is what I want you to do today. It's already 10:08. We're running out of time. So, that's what I want you to do today. You're supposed to come with your idea in your brain or on your piece of paper today. I'm going to give you a piece of paper. We'll tape it on the wall. I'll give you some markers. And what I want you to do is find a friend in class, and I want you to explain your idea to them in a mind map. Again, how do I do a mind map? I've done this in class with students before we start. So we can do that as well if you want. Again, for many years I've been working with mind maps